Okay, so I've given this thing a good scrub. I soaked it in oven cleaner for a while and then scrubbed it, pressure washed it, sprayed it down again with oven cleaner and scrubbed it, pressure washed it. I don't know how well you can see that, but it is still just nasty in there. Let me try to move my light here. Yeah. So I am going to have to find a way to clean this up a little better before we put this back on. And I think I've got a way I'm going to try anyway, but I got to finish stripping all the rest of the crap off of here first. I've got the EGR here, this thermostatic vacuum switch, or the remnants of it anyway. And then I don't think this guy's coming off. I tried to get that off earlier and the wrench just slipped on it, but that's not really a big deal. It's not like it's a valve or anything, it's just a port. So there's a look up in here. I'm still trying to figure out exactly, let me see here. We have what appears to be two different temperature sensors in the manifold. Not that one. So we had this one. There we go. We had this one that was in this front port right here. And then we had a more different one. Here it is. We had this one, which was in the top here, and does not fit down there. I don't know if the threads are even the same. No, completely different threads. So this one I know is a temperature sensor. I found an identical one. It's a single wire. This says it's if the vehicle's equipped with a temp light, I guess. I found some that look like this, and it says temp gauge. So maybe it runs two different sensors, one for the light, one for the gauge. It kind of seems dumb, but I mean, both of these, this passage and this passage, goes straight into the coolant area there. It's right here. It's where that top radiator hose mounts. So, yeah, got to see if I can find those at least. I got to get a new PCV. I'm not replacing that thermostatic vacuum switch. Yeah, and I've got to figure out what this is. I assume this is something emissions related. It just goes right here. So you've got a little port right there that comes down, runs through this coil, and then comes out here. And I have absolutely no clue what this is for. Apparently the factory carb that went on here had a plate that sat underneath it that was some sort of heater. So maybe this had something to do with that. I'm assuming that's a coolant passage down in here that sits in. It's probably why it's so rusty and nasty. So maybe that helps heat up the carb. That was part of that system. I don't know. It wasn't hooked up to anything when I pulled this out, so I'm probably not going to be hooking it back up to anything. But yeah, that's where we're at for now. I'm going to finish tearing the rest of the stuff off this intake and see if we can get it cleaned up better. Alright everyone, obviously you can't see it, but I've got the intake manifold down in this tub of water. And I've got just a sheet of just steel, just plain old steel in there as an anode. Got my positive running to it. My negative is running to a bolt in the top of the intake manifold. And then I've got all that hooked up to this little desktop power supply here. So I'm going to flip this on, and we're going to see how well electrolysis can work for us to clean up this manifold, since it's got so much rust on the inside. I've got this power supply maxed out. This is what it's pulling right now. And you should start to see some bubbles in just a minute or two. This is not the first time I've used this for electrolysis, but I've had varied results with it. So I'm going to give this a minute to get going, and I'll bring you back when we've got some action. Alright, I'm going to try to get you in here as close as I can, but we've just got a little bubbling action going on here. And with a piece this size and power supply as wimpy as this one is, it's to be expected. I just use Arm and Hammer pure baking soda in mine. Nothing special. I don't really have a particular mix that I use either. I just dump it in there until it feels right. But the whole point of this, for people who don't know what electrolysis is or how it works, is you're sending your positive charge to your anode here. There's different things you can use as anodes. And then you're sending the negative charge to whatever you're trying to clean, whether it be a part or a tool. And it pulls the rust and corrosion and whatnot off of it to the sacrificial anode, as it were. You can actually step up to like graphite anodes, and those you can clean and reuse. When you're using steel like this, it just gets eaten up. But yeah, we had a good bubble there. We're just going to let this stew in here, maybe for a couple of days. We should start getting an actual noticeable trail, which you can kind of see here. This trail of just grime leading over here towards the anode. That should become way more prominent. Just had a good bubble there too. But if nothing else, it should be better. I don't know that this will get it all the way there, but it's not going to be as good as like walnut blasting it or something. But yeah, so we'll check back on this maybe after work tomorrow, or maybe Saturday. Alright, it's been a couple of hours. You can see kind of what's going on here. Got a lot of activity. And there's no fan or anything. No kind of like magnetic stir or anything like that that's down in the water. This is just electricity doing that. We're still at 6.2 volts, 5 amps, 32 watts. Right here you can see the bolt sticking up that I've got the negative lead ran to. So we're gonna let this just keep going overnight, probably all through the day tomorrow while I'm at work, and then I'll check it when I get home from work, and we'll see how the intake looks. I don't care so much about the outside of it. That cleaned up all right. What I'm really hoping is that this will pull a bunch of the rust out of the coolant passages inside the intake, because they are pretty terrible, and there's not any great ways to get in there to them. But yeah, we'll check back in tomorrow. Alright everyone, I just got home from work, and this is the soup we've cooked up since last night. I am going to dump this and rinse everything off, see how we're looking, and see if we need to continue letting this run. Let's see, I'm going to turn this off. We've made it up to 11.6 volts and 60 watts. It's pretty good. There you can see just how much junk we have pulled onto the sacrificial anode. So it's definitely working. But I'm going to dump this and rinse it, and I'll be back. Alright, let's see how good we can see this. But this is after I've rinsed it off. I've not scrubbed or anything. I've just rinsed it with the garden hose. Overall, it is much cleaner in general. When I dumped that tub, which the only thing in the tub was water and baking soda, you could just smell oil and grease. But down in the coolant passage here, a lot of that scale and buildup is gone. Let's see if I can get some more light. It is not perfect by any means, but it is way better. Way better. So I'm gonna, it doesn't really need it, but I'm gonna set this back up to run overnight, and then we'll pull it out tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon, whenever I actually get around to getting out here. And if you want to do this, can't recommend you do it, because I don't recommend you do anything that I do. But you'll need a container of some kind to put it in. I'm just using a storage tub. I got it at Lowe's or Home Depot. Tap water. Need to fill it up so that whatever it is you're wanting to put in there is covered. And then, like I said, I'm just using Arm & Hammer pure baking soda. You just have to experiment with it. Add to your own liking. If you look up electrolysis online, you'll find very good instructions, much better than you're going to get from me. But I just dump a bunch of it in there. Then you'll need something as a sacrificial anode. Yeah, here's the anode. Pretty crusty. I just picked up a couple of little 12 by 12 sheets from Home Depot or Lowe's again. And you're going to put your positive voltage on your anode, and your negative is going to go to whatever you're trying to clean. In this case, intake manifold. You do have to watch out for flash rust for whatever you treat. because if you don't dry it immediately, it will begin to flash rust. So I'm sticking this back in there so I don't have to worry about that right this second. Tomorrow I will want to dry that immediately and then either paint over it or get a coat of WD-40 or PB, something like that, just to seal it up so it won't rust. But I'm going to get this all thrown back together. I'll be back. Alright, we've got everything set up here again. You can see everything's nice and clear now, so we have clean water. I'll dump my baking soda in there. Just going to turn on the power. Oh, and with everything clean now, we are at 61 volts. Which, the water I put this in the last time was dirty. I had already had a part in it, and I didn't feel like changing it out before I started. But yeah, we're pulling 61 volts and 250 watts, 4 amps. And yeah, you can already see the bubble action going on here. So we'll let this run overnight. As well as it's already cleaned it, we should get pretty decent result from this. Which honestly, I mean, I'm fine with how it is now, but no reason not to let it run again when I'm not going to be doing anything with it tonight. Oh yeah, let's see. Wow. This is honestly the best reaction I've had so far when trying electrolysis. And it's just pulling all of that right over to the plate. Let me turn down the light a little. Alright, I'm just going to let this run and we'll be back tomorrow. Alright, it is now about 3:45 on Saturday afternoon, and you can see just how much junk we have pulled off of that. And a nice big wedge of it there against the anode. I don't know how well it's coming through on camera, but the water has a blue tint. I'm guessing it's stripping the paint off of the intake, where it still had some of that Pontiac blue on there. But I am going to go ahead and get this thing dumped and rinsed and dried so we can see the final result and then start reassembly. So I'll be back once I have it ready to put together. Okay, so I pulled the anode out and I had to show you this. That is just a blob that fell off of it. We're definitely stripping paint off the intake, but look at the entire corner of this anode. Like, we have just eaten away all of it. The back side. So looks like we should have some pretty decent results. But anyway, I'll pull it out of there, get it cleaned up, and I'll be back. Alright, I got it mostly dried off and out. Get the light on here. So, well, a little bit of rust you can see on here is actually surface rust, like flash rust, that has formed since I pulled it out. It did a really excellent job cleaning it up. I've still got a couple of ports on the bottom that are really nasty, and I think they probably have to do with EGR. Not certain of that, but that's what I think anyway. Namely, this port and the accompanying port on the other side. You can see there's still junk in it. It's definitely not part of the coolant passage. It doesn't seem to be part of the actual air intake, so that's why I think it's probably EGR. But let me get some more light on the coolant passage here. It looks phenomenal compared to what it did. You still can't see great. See if I can get a better angle. Most of that scale is gone. I mean, there is a fair amount of pitting, but there's going to be that either way. So, yeah. Looks pretty good. Flip it around here and get the actual... Can't get more light in there, unfortunately, apparently. But you can see well enough. See if I can zoom. So, right there where the water neck bolts onto the intake. Don't really have any more scale or anything there, just some flash rust. So yeah, overall, I'd say this worked out really, really nicely. Would I have preferred to media blast it? Yes. Hopefully, at some point in the near future, I'm going to get a blasting cabinet set up so I can do stuff up to about this size. It probably won't be much bigger than this. Then I'll probably stick to like glass bead or walnut shell, stuff like that. But for now, I had this already set up and ready to go, and it took a couple of days, but I think it was well worth it since I'm not in a hurry. Need to try that out. I was thinking about shooting this with a coat of paint, but especially since I'm not really planning to keep this engine anyway, I'm not going to worry about it. My main goal was to get it cleaned up and to get the rust out of the coolant passage. I'm going to flush the coolant passage on the car as well before I hook everything back up. Excuse me. So, I would like to know for sure what these ports are on both sides that are so nasty and just refuse to come clean. I'd like to know for sure it's EGR. But, oh well. Alright, so I'm going to get, I bought all new sensors and thermostat and all that good stuff for this. It had no thermostat in it when I pulled it apart. So I'm going to get all of this put back together. And I've got freshly rebuilt carbs sitting there to go on it. So I'm going to get this ready to put back on the car. And I'll be back. Alright. We've got everything reassembled on the intake. Took a while. I had to fight with mainly the PCV valve because the Dorman rubber grommet that's available as a replacement does not fit very well. I ended up having to use where did it go? A very large drill bit to make the hole a little bigger, and from what I've read online, this is actually a known issue with these grommets. There appears to be one company that reproduces the grommets properly, and they are out of stock. Plus, I didn't really want to have to wait a week plus anyway. So anyway, I just drilled that out a little, and that seemed to work all right. This used to be the thermostatic vacuum something or another. It's basically a couple of vacuum ports that were activated by temperature of the coolant. It's part of the EGR system. Not available as far as I can see as replacements. This one's been broken off. The rest of the EGR system was already disconnected anyway. I wasn't going to reconnect it. I only put the EGR pump back on because I didn't have anything to block off that port. But I'm just going to cap the little valve or port on it with a vacuum cap. Other than that, we've got our new temperature sensor for the light, from what I understand. And then this one was broken off, the one that was in here. So I got this replacement. This appears to be a temperature sensor for the gauge. And I got a new pigtail for it as well. I don't know where the wiring for either of these temperature sensors are in the car. I'm going to have to find those. I got the water neck put back on. I got a thermostat installed. It did not have a thermostat in it when I took it apart. Let's see. We've got a plate here. I had to make a gasket for that out of just a roll of gasket material. Get the light here. You can see in here this coil right there. That just has a little port here that's supposed to have one of these 90-degree elbows on it like this side does. But I think this had something to do, again, with EGR and the heater plate that went under the stock carburetor. This is how it looked when I took it off. It wasn't connected to anything. It's not going to be connected to anything. Again, it's just back on here because I needed something to block off that plate. That goes directly into a coolant passage. I think it's meant to heat the air. The air just runs through here. So there's that. I've got this Edelbrock carb that I rebuilt that I'm going to be using on this. I picked this up used off Marketplace. Put a rebuild kit in it. So hopefully I did everything right on it. First time rebuilding one of these. But it seemed fairly easy. This is I think an AVS2. The guy I got it from, I'd also gotten some other parts for the Le Mans from. And he had only taken it off of his car because he got a chrome finish AVS2. There was nothing wrong. Yeah. Or maybe not chrome, I guess satin finish, whatever. But 4-barrel electric choke. 600 or 650 CFM, I can't remember. So I just got to get all this thrown back on there and figure out where everything hooks up to it. I know I'm going to have to replace the fuel line from the mechanical pump up to the carb. The one that's on there now, in addition to being just very questionable, has a banjo fitting on it, and just got a barb on this, so I have to swap that out. I'm going to have to cap off several of these vacuum ports, and yeah, that's where we're at. So I don't know if I'll get a chance to throw this on there tomorrow, because we've got some other stuff to do as well. If not, I'm going to go ahead and put this video out with this being the end of it, and then we'll pick back up next weekend installing this and trying to start the car, because we're ready once this goes on there to see if we can get it started. So If if I get a chance to throw it on there tomorrow, I'll be back with that. If not, then thank you for tuning in and watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Anything like that helps the channel. Comments, likes, dislikes. I don't even care if you're rude in the comments. Any interaction is good. Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you.
Mason jars on dusty shelves meant to save us now. Neon lights flicker hard, shadows dance aloud. Rusty tools on memories, we share the scars. In this garage we raise hell, fixing cars.